My name is Nate, and I was around 15 years old when this happened. My family and I had lived in a small town right outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I attended school at a private institution and was definitely no popular kid. I had a group of friends, but there were only two in the group who I really considered as real friends. They've always had my back, and we would even go to each other's houses on Fridays. One night, my parents were out of state for a work event, and being the rebellious kid I was, I had both my friends over for a movie night. It was me, my good friend Ryan, and my other friend Mike, along with my dog Bruce, who we all knew and adored. Bruce was a big German shepherd who had the personality of a teddy bear and was very friendly. When they arrived, our first move was to help ourselves to my dad's stock of booze he kept in his closet. Yeah, we were crazy kids, and if we were to get caught, it would have been worth it. We spent the next few hours playing video games and watching the hit new season of Stranger Things. As we're about halfway into one of the episodes, the three of us hear an unexpected knock at the door. The three of us looked confused, as we weren't expecting any more visitors. I got up from the couch to go to the door, expecting it to be my parents, possibly returning home early. Standing there on the porch was a Domino's delivery pizza man carrying a single large pie. He gives us a smile and says, "Hey, large pepperoni, paid for online." We all look at each other as we hadn't ordered any pizza. However, the three of us are suckers for pizza and we gladly take it off his hands. Being a bunch of teens, we weren't going to give up on a free pizza. However, Ryan, being the good Samaritan he was, had gotten us to agree that we shouldn't just eat someone else's food. In the end, we decided it was the right thing to do, and so we left the pizza on the kitchen table and called the nearest Domino's. We told them that there had been a mistake and that we received an unordered pizza. They ask for my address, and when I tell them, they say that they hadn't gotten any orders from that part of town all day. On top of that, they had also pointed out that my location barely met their delivery radius. We confirmed to them several times that it was indeed a Domino's pizza. They told us they would check around and call us back if they had found anything. And if they found nothing, we could just go ahead and eat it. We give them about 10 minutes to call us back and fix ourselves a few snacks in the meantime. We head back into the kitchen and was shocked by what we found. Bruce had stuffed his face into the pizza box and had eaten nearly half of the pizza. As funny as it was, we knew that we had been in hot water if this really was a mistake. Ryan goes to throw the pizza in the trash, and we finish our show while eating our snacks. About 30 minutes later, I started to notice that Bruce had started to become noticeably distressed. He had been whimpering and crying and would frequently begin losing his balance. After a few minutes of checking to see what was wrong with him, it didn't take long to realize that he was extremely ill. Not wanting to wait any longer, we all carry him and find a nearby emergency vet. We thankfully find one and rush him in there as soon as we could. Because this was later in the night, the vet had taken him home almost immediately to get tested on. According to the vet, he was displaying unusual symptoms and behavior. Upon running a few more tests, they had found something that nearly turned our stomachs. There had been several traces of strychnine found in Bruce's system. It's a very dangerous poison, mainly used for killing rodents. If consumed, this can ultimately kill you in about 30 minutes. It turns out that the cheese on the pizza had been laced with it. My parents had to come home right away when they found out, and we had told the police everything. We even tried describing the guy who had given us the pizza, but nothing came of it. Because he had looked like any ordinary pizza delivery person, there was no way to accurately describe what he looked like. There had been no reports in the area of other people receiving a poisoned pizza. The good news was that Bruce did thankfully survive with proper treatment. However, if we would have waited just 10 minutes later, chances are he wouldn't have made it. If you ever get food deliveries to your house that you never ordered, call the company it was from to confirm. It might just save your life.
So I've been a delivery driver for about 3 years ever since the start of the pandemic. It's a lot more stressful than people think, and I've dealt with several different customers, but this one takes the prize. It was a Thursday, and I had been doing Uber Eats orders for people who just preferred to stay home. Most of the time, I do orders until really late in order to keep the cash flowing. Since this was around the time where these delivery apps really started to take off, I took advantage of it and worked both Uber Eats and DoorDash. On this particular day, I had been using Uber Eats. Not before long, I had received one order from a house that wasn't too far away, and the order was pretty big, which basically meant an extra tip. I drive to the given restaurant, obtain the order, and drive the 10-minute drive to the given address. On this day, it happened to be raining, and one thing I've always hated was driving in the rain. But I had to make my money somehow. It's about 4 in the afternoon, and as I'm driving, I turn into the road where the house was. Now, in order to get to this house, you'd have to go down this narrow pathway that cut straight into a wooded area. To say the least, it was pretty much a well-hidden path unless you accidentally stumbled upon it or knew where you were going. I pull onto this dirt road, driving as slowly as I can, and pull up to a small one-storied house. At the front of this house was a man sitting in his rocking chair, listening to the rain. I get out of my car and he gets up to come help me with the food. At first, he genuinely seemed like a pleasant guy. He looked like your typical redneck, but he was respectful and apologized for the confusion of his location. I had said that it wasn't a problem and to have a nice day. Before I was about to get back in my car, he then asks if I wanted to come inside to try some pastries he had made earlier. I politely decline and tell him I had to get back to doing orders. However, he didn't even seem to acknowledge my response and simply insisted that I go inside with him. Once again, I declined, telling him I was sorry and that I'm sure they were good. No matter how many times I said no, he'd always make attempts for me to agree, even going as far as raising my tip. This time, I was visibly annoyed, but still kept my composure while giving him a firm no. I then take out my phone, pretending I was on a phone call with another customer. This thankfully made him stop asking me, causing him to go inside with his food. When he did, I hop back into my car, start my engine, and sped off. As I'm driving back down this narrow road, I then see him speed walking after my car from my rear view mirror. Now, if the story had ended there, it wouldn't be scary. But this story comes with a very unsettling twist. That night when I had gotten home, my girlfriend and I had sat down on the couch watching the news. At one point, there was a chilling news report about a man in the area attempting to lure kids into his truck. As much as I hate to say it, we lived in an area that wasn't so great, so stuff like this did happen occasionally. But when this news report showed the person responsible, I almost spit out the water I was drinking. On my TV was the same man I had taken the delivery order from, causing me to go absolutely hysterical. He had the same face, same beard, and the same hair. I just knew it was him. Turns out, he was arrested shortly after I had delivered his food. After all, I knew there was something off about that man. And boy, did I end up being correct. When I was 17, I worked at a pizza chain as a part-time job in Iowa City, Iowa. Being a teen with not much in my life, I had mostly worked the night shifts alongside my other coworker. It would stay busy well into the day and would start to die down come evenings. This was around the time where people were simply too tired to come and get food and preferred to just order it. I won't disclose any of my colleagues' information, so I'll just call my coworker Jared. Jared was a bit older than me, who was mainly placed in charge of making the pizzas while I was the one delivering them. On this night, it had just been me and him. It was already past 10 and we were getting ready to close when the phone rang. I answered it and right away I hear someone on the other end, an older lady requesting a large pepperoni. I was annoyed as we were about to close and I really did not feel like driving. She had given me the address, which thankfully wasn't too far, and because it was a single pie, I'd be in and out. Thankfully, Jared had made a pepperoni pizza and couldn't deliver it due to a cancellation, so he just told me to take that one instead. I hop into my car and drive a few miles down near the interstate. Now, this interstate wasn't very popular and it was also somewhat unsettling. This was mainly due to the fact that it had been surrounded by forest on the opposite sides of it. Driving through these roads at night with nobody around is enough to creep anyone out. After all, I did live in the rural part of my city, which only added to the creepiness. Anyway, I'm driving down the road when I see something up ahead on the side of the grass. As I drive closer, I realize it's a man waving his arms up in the air, attempting to flag me down. Now, I would have just drove by him, but earlier that week, I had heard the phrase, "Character is what you do when no one is looking." And for whatever reason, that was the night I decided that I was a man of character. Huge mistake. I pull over slowly and roll down my window just a tad before asking him if he needed help. Right away, he starts rambling on about how he was taking his dog for a walk when it ran off into the woods. He then offers me $300 if I could help him find his dog, as it was near and dear to him. Almost immediately, alarms start going off in my head as he's telling me his story. 1. Who walks their dog in the middle of an interstate? 2. If he did have a dog, why is he walking it at this time of night? And 3. The forest area is barricaded by wired fences, so there's no way the dog would have just jumped over it. I might have been naive, but I wasn't born yesterday. I apologized, telling him I'd be unable to, as I had to deliver this pizza and that it couldn't be late. However, he disregarded what I had said and basically tried pressuring me into helping him. I tell him no once again. Just as he was about to say something, I hear, clear as day, a blood-curdling scream from the woods calling for help. From my point of view, it sounded like a woman's cry for help. It was then when I had looked at this person who now had this menacing glare. He looks around for a brief second, leans in toward my car, and tells me to leave in a more upset tone. Not giving it a second thought, I speed down the road, not looking back. The rest of my delivery went smoothly, but I still couldn't shake the feeling off of what had happened. I reported my encounter to the police, and I was later told that they had searched the area, but had found no sign of anyone. The next day, I had gone back to my job and quit right then and there. No more late-night deliveries for me. Till this day, I'm still not sure what I encountered that night. I'm not sure if it was someone that really did lose their dog or something much worse.